Stitch. My name is Steve Kune Jobin. I'm Yehe Nakoda from Stoney Nation here in Treaty 7 territory, and we're known as Treaty 7's People of the Mountains. Traditionally, yes. So we went all across the Rocky Mountains in the southern region into the United States. We went up north to around Jasper as well, and then as far east as Saskatchewan. However, there's a lot of stories of how we ended up in this territory. I believe truly that we are part of the Great Sioux Nation out east around the Great Lakes. They say that at the time that the Europeans arrived, that we disbanded into smaller groups and headed west so we could protect our culture, identity, language, and spirituality. Treaty 7 has been very interesting because we had a lot of alliances, especially with the Bobtail Cree. When Treaty 7 was being signed, it was originally called the Blackfoot Treaty because this is their traditional territory and they are the largest group within the area. However, due to our relations and our connections with the Blackfoot people as well as the Tsuut'ina people as well, we were invited to be a part of the treaty. Our alliance with the Bobtail Cree, we tried to bring them, however, they weren't included in Treaty 7 and were signed to Treaty 6. Some of the implications of since signing treaty has been being within one area. You know, at the time of the treaty signing, a lot of the lands that they designated for First Nation groups were lands that were very, very hard to be able to cultivate on. So being Stoney, Nakoda, and west towards the mountain, it's very, very hard for vegetation. They also say that during the signing of the treaty that our people were very, very hungry, being nomadic and following the buffalo, following all of the other animals like deer and elk and so on. When you're confined to a certain area with very low vegetation, it creates a lot of issues when you're trying to secure food for your community and also for your family as well. So with the signing of a treaty being placed on a designated land, but also having restrictions as to when you could leave, it really created a lot of struggles and a lot of people going very, very hungry as well. There's certain benefits that get tied in with treaty when we look at modern aspects of it. However, a lot of the agreements from treaty signing have not been honored or kept up with our growth in population and even our expansions as well. You know, things like healthcare, education, housing, and things like that that are supposed to be honored by the treaty and part of the agreements are not being honored. When we're looking at current day conditions on reserve, a lot of our people are struggling, a lot of them are living in poverty, and there's almost like a invisible wall with trying to break through or get out that creates a whole lot of social issues within the community. One of my favorite sayings is that Canada is a first world country, but its First Nations people are living in third world poverty. We're having issues with people just surviving, and many of the things people take for granted living in Canada are things that we struggle to achieve. I think there definitely needs to be movements forward in decolonization, as well as working on indigenization and reconciliation. I often feel that by not including Indigenous people's histories in education settings, it has created a huge gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Oftentimes, stereotypes and misconceptions are formed by people who don't know the true history as to what has happened. It's not like one day we woke up and said that we wanted to be the poorest peoples of Canada, that we wanted our children taken away, that we wanted to be overrepresented in the child welfare or the justice system. But people need to understand how these social policies that benefited colonialism and for the Confederation of Canada came into place. Oftentimes, these are included within our education system, and these stereotypes and these biases form. Some people think that Indigenous peoples get a second hand up or that they get easier access, but a lot of times they don't understand the struggles and realities that we are coming from and how we're trying to move forward, but how systemic racism and policies still dictate our lives in very, very interesting ways that really limit with things that we're able to accomplish and creates a lot of challenges along the way.